station, just about a mile or half a mile past there. It's July the 1st, a Saturday night at 6 o'clock, and the whole family is invited to come. Hot dogs and drinks will be served. Come and have a great time with the Rangers. Amen. Just one more announcement, and that is this: if you have to miss
I miss a bunch of Sundays.
one Sunday, what Sunday do you not want to miss?
Tomorrow.
This Sunday, amen. Fireworks going off in 2 weeks, but this week we're going to have graduation. Amen. Graduation week, and you don't want to miss this Sunday. Praise God. But let's turn to the book of Ephesians tonight, chapter number 4. And maybe we'll finish chapter 4 if we're fortunate tonight. Last time that we were able to get into the Word, which was 2 weeks ago, we got verses 17 through 19 in. So tonight we're going to pick up at verse 20 and hopefully get through the end of the chapter. And let's read together. But ye have not so learned Christ, if so be that ye have heard him, and have been taught by him as the truth is in Jesus, that you put off concerning the former conversation the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust. Be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that you put on the new man, which after God is created in righteousness and true holiness. Wherefore, putting away lying, speak every man truth with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. Be ye angry and sin not, let not the sun go down upon your wrath, neither give place to the devil, neither let him rather that stole steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good, that he may have to give to him that needeth. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearer. Grieve not the Holy Spirit of God, whereby ye are sealed unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. Be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, has forgiven you. Wow. That's a mouthful. We talked about the behavior of the heathen last time, and we got a little excited talking about that. Not that we were excited that the heathen behave the way they do, but when we started to see how God's Word begins to articulate and begins to unravel what man thinks is a mystery, we find out that there's a pattern to the way evil people act. There's a pattern to their behavior. There's a downhill spiral, and they're headed in one direction. And by the way, we want to welcome Sammy tonight.
Amen.
Woo! Hallelujah. If you don't know who Sammy is, it's not the one with the big hair. I take that back. He does have big hair. Oh my goodness. Welcome, Sammy. I'm jealous of the head. You have more hair as an infant than I have as an adult. Hallelujah. God bless you. Amen. 7 pounds, 2 ounces, 20.5 inches long, correct? Healthy baby boy. Hey, congratulations, Spencer and Rosa. Amen. Praise God. Well, last time we talked about behavior of the heathen. Tonight we're going to talk about the responsibility as Christians that we have. What is our responsibility? And it says in our text, it says, but we have not so learned Christ. And if we have heard him, if we have been taught by him, then we need to put off concerning the former conversation, the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lusts. So we have a responsibility to get rid of some things in our lives if we're truly serving Christ. What is amazing to me is how many people ask Christ into their heart. They say they're born again, they say they're living the life and walking the walk, and they're talking the talk, and yet there's no change. You know, I preached a sermon one time on the resurrected church, and the 3 points were, take off the grave clothes, come out of the tomb, and live in the heavenlies. Evidently, the first act that Jesus performed upon rising from the dead was taking off the grave clothes. Amen? You know, there's a lot of time when we come to Christ and we're born again. We come alive to him, but we keep the grave clothes on, don't we? We walk around in the same garments and the same attire that we walked in before we were saved. I don't know about you, but if they bury me in a suit and Jesus resurrects me and I come out of that casket, first thing I'm doing is going home and change my clothes. I don't want to be walking around in dead man's clothes. I want to get some living clothes on. Amen? And so the Bible tells us we need to change our lifestyle. We need to take some things off. We need to get some things out of our life. And in verse 25 of our text, the Bible said, I think 25 is where I want to head to. It says, wherefore, putting away the lying, speak every man truth with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. The Bible says we're to put off the old man. If any man be in Christ, he is a what? New creature. Old things are passed away, and all things are become new. Amen? So if we are born again, we shouldn't be living the way we used to live. We shouldn't be acting the way we used to act. We shouldn't be talking the way, behaving the way. We shouldn't be walking the same way that we used to walk. We need to have a behavior change. Amen? Behavior modification, they call it. Amen? And that comes with a changing of the mind. The first thing we need to put off from our life when we come to Christ is a lying tongue. How many know that Satan's a liar? This is not going to be up there on the screen, but if somebody would turn to John 8 and read verse 44. John 8:44. Don't all speak at once.
Ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. But he speaketh a lie, and speaketh of his own, for he is a liar, and the father of it.
Who's the father of lies? Satan. In other words, if you're a liar, that's the offspring of him. He's the father. He is the one that is responsible for lying. What is Satan's only weapon? Deception and lies. A lie is more than not telling the truth. It's not telling the truth, but it's more than just verbalizing falsehood. It's deception. Amen? It's pretending. It's putting on false airs. And when we come to Christ, not only are we not supposed to lie with our lips, we're not supposed to lie with our life. And when I talk about trust, and I talk about the elements of trust, truthfulness, respect, understanding, security, and tenderness, truthfulness not only includes honesty, it includes openness. And how do you know that lying doesn't just mean not telling the truth, it means not telling the whole truth. That means not, I told you the truth, I just didn't tell you all the truth. Well, you lied. You can cover it however which way you want, but if you're not telling me the full story, you're deceiving me, and all liars will have the part that burns in the lake of fire. How many times as a kid, I know as a teenager, I really did it a lot, tried to cover my tracks from my parents, and I would tell half-truths. I wouldn't reveal the whole truth, but the whole thing is my father would check on me and find out if I was telling the truth. And there were times that I got caught. I was at my girlfriend's house one day after school, and there was nobody home but her and I. And my father drove down the road, and he saw my car in front of her house. Well, I was wrestling at the time, and we had a wrestling match that night, but I had the afternoon free. And no one was around, and I went over to her house. And so my father called her and said, "Is Joe there?" And she said, "No, he's at practice. He's at the school." And I said, "We better get to the school, because you told my father we're at the school. He's going to school to look." And so we got into the car, and we drove the back way to the school, and there's 5 corners, like here in North says, there's 5 corners in Warrensburg. And they all come together and converge, and lo and behold, my father had called from the school. The house was the other direction. Who did we meet? And she was driving, and I was in the passenger seat, so I could jump out. And I jumped out, and she jumped out, and she's walking toward my father. She said, "I'm sorry, Reverend Chamberlain." He said, "I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to my son." That was the first meeting that my first wife ever had with my father. Caught in a lie. Wasn't the whole truth, was it? We're to put that stuff away. We're not to be lying one to another. How many liars go to hell? All liars. Amen? How many people in the cemetery are dead? Unless there's some visiting. That hope for a lie. Amen. But we need to put off falsehood and all kinds of lying. Remember Ananias and Sapphira? How many understand that that is a New Testament principle? When God struck them dead, that wasn't Old Testament. How many know that judgment still takes place in the New Testament? Even though we're under grace, we're still under the Word of God. Amen? God still judges the heart. And what was the one thing he couldn't stand? It wasn't the fact that they held back money. That wasn't an issue. They didn't have to give anything. The fact was they lied. All liars go to hell. How many want to live with a liar? I don't want to live with a liar. There's no trust there. You can't believe a word they say, right? Well, God's saying, I can't put my faith in you if I can't trust you. And if you're a liar, I can't have you in my kingdom. And so the first thing we're told that we need to put off is lying. Loose lips sink ships, well, so do lying lips. Amen? We're living in a day where people will tell lies for one reason more than any other. And what's that? To cover their tracks, to clear themselves. I lie about you if it takes the attention off me. I won't tell the truth about the other guy on the job if it keeps the job for me and let him get fired, right? We need to put that kind of nonsense aside right off the bat. We need to stop our lying and stop our falsehood and understand what is lying. Lying is more than me telling you an untruth. It's how I behave myself. It's how you're perceiving me. It's putting on airs. It's being somebody I'm not. It's acting in a way that I really am not. It's trying to convince somebody of that which isn't true. And verse 26 says that we should be angry and sin not, and that we're not to let the sun go down upon our wrath. So the next thing that we need to get rid of in our life, number one, we need to get rid of a lying tongue and a lying life. Number two, we need to get rid of unforgiveness. I think this is one of the hardest and most difficult issues for anybody to deal with, even Christians. I deal with more people that harbor grudges and hatred and hard feelings, and they can't let things go. And I used to say, I think women hold it longer than men, but that's not always the case. And sometimes the reason is because women were created as emotional beings and they're relational, and they take it more personal. They used to tell you, a guy can go out and get in a fist fight in the backyard and be buddies 10 minutes later. Not always that way with ladies, but it's not always that way with men either. Some guys hold grudges. You know who most guys hold the biggest grudge against? Usually their wife. God. Isn't that what Adam did? It's all her fault, man. The woman you gave me. And it started right there. Let me tell you something. We need to start taking ownership of our actions, and it's not our responsibility how another behaves. It's our responsibility of how we behave in response to their behavior. How do you respond when they don't react right? How do you behave? And if you harbor that unforgiveness, he said, if you don't forgive them, I will not forgive you. And we justify ourselves, don't we, holding on grudges? Have every right to be mad. If you only knew what they did to me. If you only know how they treated. To be quite frank and honest, but I don't care. But you don't really understand. You don't know how bad it was. And you know, I have people that go back to, you know, people who are sexually molested and abused as children, people who are beaten. You know something? I'm not trying to be cold, cruel, or crass, but I gotta be honest, even that doesn't matter in terms of your response. I understand in our humanity, we react different to that, but we need to forgive that as much as anything. Look what Jesus forgave. And we kind of say, but it depends on what has been done to me, whether I can forgive or I can't forgive. He didn't qualify what had to be forgiven. He said, if you don't forgive men their trespasses, neither will I forgive you. Now that doesn't mean you have to be foolish and hang around those people. If they're going to be abusive, you don't hang with them. You're not their best buddy. You don't stick with them. You don't fellowship necessarily. But in your heart, you've got to learn. What does forgiveness mean, by the way? It means to let go. If you don't let go, guess what? You're the prisoner. Because they're not thinking about you. They're not thinking about what they did to you. They're going on their merry way. But you can't stop thinking about them, and you're the one that's held in the clutches of that unforgiveness. I think unforgiveness is the most damaging tactic that Satan uses in the church and in the family and in the home. We harbor things and we say, oh, but I've forgiven. Let me tell you something. If it controls your thoughts and it controls your conversation, you haven't forgiven. Right? Would you agree with that? I'm trying to provoke some thought tonight. I just try to stir a little controversy once in a while to get you thinking. But isn't it true? I mean, think of the most horrendous act that could ever be committed against you. Do you have a right to hang on to that? It's slow, but no. We're getting there. No, we don't. And you know something? What I'm saying to you, I have to live, and I understand how hard it is, because I've had things happen to me that I would just as soon pop somebody. One way or another.
We to forgive and forget.
We have to that's what let go means. I mean, drop it, get rid of it. When God forgives, as far as the east is from the west. Now, the truth of the matter is, in human mindset, I was reading this the other day in an article that, I don't know if it was a Christian psychiatrist or whatever, but we have in our mind, we still have memory, even things we don't remember now, it's still there deep down in. And I would be preaching, I don't want to tell you what I'm preaching tonight. But how do you know what the final judgment for the sinner? When they stand before God, they're going to trial, and God is going to say to them, what about this? And if you've ever been to a court of law and they've had someone on trial, they rehearse every minute detail of that case. And a lot of times it's very painful, it's very hurtful to people around. You don't want all your laundry trampled all over by everybody, but I'll tell you, on that day, every one of your sinful deeds, it's not going to be trial for one wrong deed. You're going to face that same trial for every wrong deed. And you'll have a memory of it then. Even though you may not remember it now. Because deep in your heart of hearts, so getting to the place where we can forget. I don't know what we forget, but we choose to let it go. It has to be a choice. is not a natural response to a human being. It's very unnatural for a man or a woman to forgive. We hold on to things. We harbor things because we think it makes us feel more powerful. I know your faults. I know where you mess up. So I got the goods on you. And we hang on to that because that's a source of strength for us. But in actuality, it's really a source of weakness because all it does is cause us to be a prisoner to their action.
Sometimes I struggle with some things of forgiveness. Like the guy that stabbed me. I don't remember his name. I honestly don't even. The other day I was trying to think of it, and I couldn't even.
Time is a big healer. Sometimes it takes a period of time for us to let things go. But if you're always rehearsing it, even time won't get rid of it because you are making it fresh every time you rehearse it.
Unforgiveness is us trying to penalize the person ourselves. When we give it over to God, we trust that He will vindicate, He will take care of the person. And then about forgetting, I've had a lot of personal pain in my life. I've heard said, I think this is so good, that we may have a memory of the incident, but God, through His forgiveness and through letting go, takes the pain out of the memory.
Yeah.
So no longer is the memory of it something that breaks our heart, makes us cry, makes us sad, makes us angry. And God does that work in us, and we let go to Him and say, Lord, you get even on the person. I'm going to give that to you. You punish the person. I'm not going to try to punish you.
You're not going to forget something that was done to you. But you can choose how it affects you.
You can get strength from being able to forgive.
You see, unforgiveness is like drinking the poison and waiting for the other person to die. You know? You're drinking the poison waiting for them to die. They're not harmed by it. They don't feel a thing. But you are the one that's dying. You're trying to get rid of it, trying to let go of it. But see, this is the one thing God says you need to get rid of. Number one, get rid of lying. Number two, get rid of unforgiveness. And as I begin to go down this list that we're going through right now, you know, I thought to myself, how often do we just gloss over these things? We read them, but we don't examine. We don't check it out. We don't look at our own life. Here's something else that we need to get rid of. The Bible says in verse number 26, or 28 rather, it says, let him that stole steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good, that he may have to give unto him that needeth. We need to stop our stealing. This is another one of those things that we sometimes put into a certain category, but it crosses over into some other areas. How do you know that stealing is more than just taking an object? Do we steal time from the boss on the job? Do we rob God in tithes and offerings? He said, will a man rob God if you rob me in tithes and offerings? So if we're not bringing our tithes into the storehouse, we're a thief.
Amen.
Amen or ouch, right? Well, I haven't stolen anything lately. Have you been paying your tithe? Have you been giving offerings beyond the tithe? Because he said, you rob me in tithes and offerings. Not just tithes, but tithes and offerings. Are you robbing God of your talent? Has God given you a talent that you're not using? That's thievery. But we're Christians and we don't steal, we don't go rob banks. And we don't take people's, stuff, and we, really.
I'll go one further, and that is that stealing, you have to do a second
looks at the woman to,
She's not giving you, you're not married to her, and if you allow your mind to go there, you're taking something from her, you're stealing something that belongs to her husband, maybe her husband-to-be, or to the Lord, but it does not belong to
when
you.
a man looks at a woman to lust after her, you know?
Stealing. You're stealing.
And these are all areas that we can steal with our hands. We can steal with the rest of our body as well. Our eyes. We can steal with our feet where we go. You know what we're doing. Well, we need to get rid of these are the basics: lying, stealing, hatred, unforgiveness. And yet so often in our lives we hold on to these things and it's still there. If we examine our hearts, have we stolen anything this week? Don't answer me, but think to yourself as we go down this list. Have I lied in any way this week? Have I harbored unforgiveness this week? Have I held on to something and let the sun go down upon my wrath this week? Have I stolen something? That word is klepto. Remember Achan? The city of Ai, when they went into Jericho, their first conflict in the new promised land. And God said, the first fruits are mine. In other words, you can't have the spoils of the first victory. They belong to me. After that, you can have all the spoils of every other victory you have. But the first victory you have, all the spoils are mine. Don't you touch them. Don't you take them. Don't you steal them. And they went on to Ai to fight after Jericho was won. And they lost an easy victory. 36 men died. They lost the battle. And Joshua said, God, I thought we were supposed to win. How come we're losing? He said, there's sin in the camp. He said, Achan there, your buddy over here, he's a thief. And what did he do? He went and he saw the Babylonians, or he saw the garments, and he saw the gold. He saw the spoils of Jericho. And what did he do? He went and dug. He not only, see, when you steal, you have to lie to cover your thievery. You see, one leads to another. They don't stay separate. They don't stay single. They're always plural. You know, just as loss is never singular, it's always compound. It's not a loss. It's loss. When my mother lost her husband, she lost her best friend, she lost her provider, she lost her identity because she was a pastor's wife and now she didn't hang in the same circle. She lost her companion. She lost a whole lot more than just a husband. You see, loss is always compound. It's always, sin is always compound. You never can get away. What happened to David when he committed sin with Bathsheba? He stole what wasn't his. Then he had to try to cover it up. He tried to, which is deception, which is a lie, right? He tried to get her husband to go and to stay with her, but Uriah had more integrity than that. So then he had to commit murder because he couldn't get away with lying to cover his stealing. Stealing another man's wife is no one could. And sin leads to, one sin leads to another. And so now Achan is lying to cover up his thievery. But guess what? Be sure your sin will find you out. You can run, but you cannot hide. God will bring to light the hidden things, those things you do in secret or to be shouted from the rooftops. So God begins to search us, and he begins to see things in us. And here was Achan. He dug a hole, and what did it cost? It cost 36 men their lives. It cost him and his family their lives. See, because no man lives to himself and no man dies to himself. And when you keep these things in your life, it affects other people. When you hold on to unforgiveness, it affects other people. When you hold on to lying, it affects affects other people. When you hold on to stealing, it affects other people, because that's the way sin is. Sin is not an innocent crime. There's nobody that's innocent. It says that we need to put aside corrupt communication, filthy talking. Somebody turn to James chapter 3 and read verse 16 if you would tonight, please. James 3 and verse 16. Because you see here in verse 28 it talks about corrupt communication, or 29 it talks about corrupt communication. And then on verse 31 it talks about evil speaking. What is the difference between corrupt communication and evil speaking? None? Well, corrupt communication is talking about filthy talk, impure. Evil speaking is talking about slander, backbiting, gossip. They're all sins of the tongue, but they're manifest in different ways. Sometimes you find people with potty mouths. Amen? And I know some people that before they got saved, they could make a sailor blush. And after they get saved, sometimes it takes a while to get rid of that. But some people don't even get rid of it after a while. What kind of language do we use? What communication comes out of our mouth? Is it impure? Something that's corrupted is what? A corrupted file is a file that's been invaded by something that shouldn't be there, right? Polluted. To be corrupted is to be polluted, right? You don't need a polluted mouth. Corrupt communication. How do you talk when you're not around other believers? How do you talk when you're with unsaved people? Dirty jokes, cuss words, swear words. How does your language reflect who you are? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. And if you have a potty mouth, you have a dirty heart. Mark?
That could go into music that you listen to or TV that you watch. If you don't mind them blasting the Lord's name, you'll sit there and watch it.
Communication is a two-way street, isn't it? It's not just one-sided. It's not just what we corrupt communication. It's not only what you send out, it's what you take in. Amen? What communication do you receive as well? Because communication has three components. Sending a message, receiving a message, and understanding a message. And people think that communication is simply talking and listening. That has nothing to do with it, because there's a whole lot of nonverbals that change the whole meaning of the verbiage. Your tone of voice, sarcasm versus sincerity, the tone, the loud, the volume, you can, there's a lot that goes in the body language, you can tell somebody you're listening, but if you're sitting like this, what are you saying? So not closed off, you're not getting through, say all you want, but I've already made up my mind. What does this say? It says I'm guarded. I'm listening, but I'm guarded. What does this say? It says I'm open. You watch people's body language, you see, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Communication goes a long way. How do we communicate the gospel? Are we trying to be blow the head with it, or are we doing it in love? Speak the truth in love. Are we speaking it in judgment? Are we just being a legalist? Pounding with that word, because the word's a hammer, So it means that we use it to beat people, right? Because the word of God is a hammer and a fire. It's the sword of the Spirit. But when the Spirit uses that sword, it's like a surgeon's scalpel. He cuts clean. And And he doesn't do it to hurt, he does it to heal. So we need in our communication, we don't need to corrupt the communication that we have, even if it's intended to be good. How do you understand that even well-intentioned communication, even witnessing, can sometimes come across in a corrupt way, a polluted way? Because we're trying to lord it over people, we're trying to seem super spiritual, we're trying to make them think they're so bad and we're so good. No, that's corrupt communication. That's a way that you corrupt the truth. So it's not only what you say, it's how you say it. What you visit, like Mark said. Where do you go? What do you receive in? It's sending the message. See, we think that it's only one side, it's only talking and listening. It's not just talking and listening. Because the person can send the message, but the person that receives it might not receive the message that the one who sent it meant to send. And that's not communication, that's miscommunication. Amen? Did you receive the message I meant to send, or did you receive the message you understood that I sent? See, communication is not communication until you have all three components. What message is sent is the same message it received, and the messages received and sent are the one that is understood. We're on the same page. That's not what I said. No, but that's what you meant. I heard you say I love you. And the way you said it didn't say you loved me. But I said I love you. I love you too. I said I love you too, yeah. But the way you said it indicated and communicated. So we're not, no, I really meant I love you. I was just tired. It didn't go. No, you might have meant to send that message, but the message I received, right? So communication is more than talking and listening. So the communication we get ourselves involved in can be corrupt not only in what we hear. The Bible says, take heed what you hear. And another verse says, take heed how ye hear. How do you know that we listen from our own vantage point? We have our own frequencies, and sometimes we're programmed even before another person says anything or communicates in whatever way they can communicate it. We've already have a preconceived idea of, and we don't even let them finish their statement because we think we already know what they're going to. That's why we finish statements before someone finishes a statement, and when you do that, you say, well, we love each other so much, we can finish each other's statements. No, you don't love each other enough to let the other one finish. You're rude enough that you'll interrupt them, and you're telling them by interrupting them, you think you're being sweet, saying, I know you so well, I know what you're going to say. No, you're saying that I don't need to hear you, because I already know. See, communication is a big thing. When you talk about corrupt communication, I know it's talking about filthy talk and potty mouths and things like that, but I'll tell you, Christians, we need to learn how to communicate better. I know one thing about me is I'm a communicator, right? That's what I do for a living. I'm a preacher. And because as an evangelist and as a pastor, I get very passionate. And what I have to guard against, what I have to watch out for in the house, is that I don't come across angrily. Because I can get passionate about something, and I'm not mad, but I can appear to be mad. Because I can get very excited about it and everything. First time my first wife came to Thanksgiving dinner at our house. Father's a preacher. All four boys are preachers. So when we sit down at Thanksgiving dinner, we have theological discussions. But they get very lively and very loud. And the first time she came, she walked away from the table in tears, thought we were fighting. We had to explain we were just very passionate about our point. And I have to understand that the way I communicate, I have to guard it. I have to watch it. Because I can corrupt that communication By not guarding, a soft answer turns away wrath, and how many know volume expresses an awful lot in communication. You know, we can don't let any, only that which is good to the edifying. Is this building somebody up? That doesn't mean criticizing. Criticizing is not edifying, but I'm trying to help you. Please, help yourself first. Amen? I'm open to criticism, but you heard what Spurgeon did to that one lady. Said, would you suffer a little criticism? He said, sure. He said, your tie offends me. So he gave her the scissors and she cut it off. He said, now, can I give you some criticism? She said, sure. He said, your tongue offends me. Yikes. Sometimes our constructive criticism isn't so constructive. And when I do marriage counseling, I talk about 9 myths of intimacy. One of those myths is that we should be able to accept one another's criticism because we love each other. It's not true. You don't need to be criticizing each other. There's a time and a place. You wait for the right time and the right place. We need to be careful about our communication. What do we talk about? How do we talk about it? How do we behave? Because we don't communicate just with our words, we communicate with our actions. What am I communicating? I can't hear a word you're saying because your actions are speaking too loud. You ever hear that one before? I can't hear a word you're saying because your actions are speaking. What did Jesus say about the Pharisees? Do as they say, but not as they do, for they say and do not. They don't communicate correctly. So let no corrupt communication come out of your mouth, but such as is good to edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of God, whereby you are sealed unto the day of redemption. Here's the next thing we need to get rid of. It goes along with unforgiveness, just as corrupt communication and evil speaking go together. Unforgiveness kind of ties into number 5, which is bitterness. Actually, bitterness is the step beyond unforgiveness. And when the root of bitterness springs up, what happens? Many are defiled. I've done the evolution of unforgiveness. It starts with a hurt. Somebody gets hurt. They become angry. And then after they get angry, they become bitter. It slides from their head to their heart. Had they dealt with it when it was a hurt? Had they taken care of it when it was a hurt? And you can be angry and sin not, but when you don't deal with anger, anger becomes bitterness. And when bitterness comes up, it is a what? A root. How many have ever cut a tree down and watched green twigs, green sprouts come out of the stump? Why? Because you haven't killed the root. See, when a root of bitterness comes in, no matter how many times you chop down a branch, the root is still there. If you have someone that you can't walk into the room and be comfortable around, you probably got a root of bitterness. If every time you get near them, they send some kind of a bad vibe up and down your spine, and I'm not talking about discernment, that there's something wrong. I'm talking about you can't be around them because you have feelings still. That's a root of bitterness. And when that bitterness gets down deep inside, it defiles many. It's not just going to affect one person. Bitterness spreads. My brother said this. People say, but I'm not bitter. I'm just hurt. And my brother said, if you have been to Calvary and you are still hurt, you are bitter because Calvary covers it all. before it becomes bitterness. Deal with it while it's a hurt. Deal with the hurt before it becomes anger. And if it gets to anger, then handle it before it becomes bitterness. Go and tell that matter between them and you alone. If they hear you, you gain your brother. And when you go to them, it's not for the sake of rehearsing what they did to you. It's for the sake of gaining the relationship back. And there is no forgiveness without bloodshed. For without the shedding of blood, there is no remission. And that word remission is forgiveness. Somebody's got to die. Woo! That's the only way. People say, how do you get rid of bitterness? How do you get rid of bitterness if there's a root of bitterness? Well, you lay the axe to the root. Sword of the Spirit. But the only way I know to deal with bitterness is revealed in the marrow where the water was too bitter to drink. God instructed Moses to cut a tree down and to throw the tree into the water. And when the tree touched the water turned sweet. The only way I know to get rid of bitterness is to come to the cross, the tree, and bring the tree into the water, which is humanity. We're born of water. And when you bring the tree to the water, you can't get the water to the tree sometimes. Sometimes we got to take the love of Christ to them. Because they're not coming to the love of Christ. But if you take the love of Christ, because Calvary is the tree where perfect love is shed abroad, forgiveness flowed freely, and the only way to deal with bitterness is, Father, forgive them. You got to come to the cross. You got to bring it to the church. You can't handle on your own. But boy, I don't think we're getting done with what we want to do tonight. But that's all right. We haven't even got to what we need to put on. We haven't finished with what we're taking off. Mark.
What you just said about coming to the cross and then to Jesus. Right now, we're supposed to be preparing ourselves to be the bride of Christ. Putting off the old self, and we're getting ready to be married to Jesus, where we are going to be communing with Him. And I said, as a bride, that's how close the relationship is going to be. Well, when you're sitting around talking to your groom Jesus, you're not going to want to be doing any of those things. They won't exist around you. That's why we've got to put them on.
He's coming for a glorious church without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, right? So if these things in our life, there's a few wrinkles we need to iron out. Amen. And here's the next one. And notice again, last time we talked about the downward spiral, the vanity of the mind, which led to a darkened understanding, which led them to be alienated from life. They had a blinded heart. They were past feelings. They ended up in filthiness and greed. And how was the downward spiral? Notice this: lying, unforgiveness, stealing, corrupt communication, which leads to bitterness, which leads to wrath. What's the difference between bitterness and wrath?
Bitterness is eternal wrath.
Wrath is uncontrolled anger. Bitterness is what creates wrath. Bitterness is the internal aspect. Amen? I'm bitter on the inside, but my wrath is demonstrated on the outside. Amen? And how do you remember in Esther 3 and verse 5, Haman, when Mordecai did not bow down to him, when everyone, when he walked by, he wanted everyone to bow down to him, the Bible said he was filled with wrath. The Bible says in 2 Timothy 3, it says, in the last days, men will be fierce, despisers of those that are good. That word wrath talks about fierceness. Aren't we living in a day where people become fierce? What's road rage?
Something I have.
That's wrath. How many here have ever lost it on the road? Don't answer me. Don't tell the truth. Well, tell the truth, but tell it to Jesus. Don't let me don't tell the truth. Don't catch me in the road. I don't want to hear everybody's war stories. Listen, I want to learn this. I sanctified on the preacher is his right foot. Put the pedal to the metal. And when somebody gets ahead of me and they want to go about 15 miles an hour before below the legal speed limit, I got to guard that no evil speaking comes out of my mouth. I got to be careful that I don't allow wrath to take over. And I want to pull up and cut them off, and that's what the world does. We can't do that. We shouldn't do that. What good is that going to do us? We get probably beat up. Today you get shot because everybody's carrying. You think you're the only one with a license? Listen, they have an unregistered one they're going to use on you. Wrath. We need to be careful that we don't allow that uncontrolled anger to get us. The evil speaking, the blasphemy. How many of the words of a talebearer go deep? We've said this many times, but what a lie we used to tell ourselves as children. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. We go right back to the beginning and we're liars. If we believe that names will never hurt us, we've just lied to ourselves. I know that what is said to you can do more damage than what is done to you. Because what is said to you doesn't heal, it doesn't mend. It's internal bleeding, it's not seen, therefore it's not treated. And internal bleeding is the most deadly kind of injury you can have. And the words of a talebearer go deep to the innermost part of its internal.